Hi everybody. See, hopefully you can see okay. This is Kimberly at Starfish Design Embroidery. I'm doing some late night sewing. If you've been following along on my Facebook group, you know I've been dealing with some eye challenges. So I haven't got to do any demos. So I'm just going to do this quick one. What this is this is my hopefully last test for this. Make sure you're going to be able to see. Yes. I don't know. Can you guess what this is? It is for one of those Fruit TV remotes. So you can see from looking at mine, my son has a challenge of making a mess of ours, and the buttons get stuck and you can't do it. So I came up with this idea to make a case. This one fits okay, but it's just a little snug to navigate the touch at the top. So I'm enlarging that slightly, and hopefully this will work. So I've gone ahead and stitched out the placement stitches. Really hope you can see this. For some reason I feel like the video is not working well enough. I have the same position I always have. What? Okay, I think it's good. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead. This is going to be the pocket on the back, and you can see in my rendition this is really floppy right here, so I need another layer of vinyl, but I don't want the vinyl to go all the way through because then this part's going to be really heavy. So I'm just going to cut off and make a tab here so that it'll cover up the clear pocket. So I'm going to take, I have some scraps here that actually worked out great. Let's see, this will be for the back. This is going to be for the front. So I'm going to put this scrap down here so the right side is facing down, so that it'll be the back of the tab when we're all done. And we'll cut the take the tearaway away from the back. So I just have some regular tearaway looped here. It's actually a really thin one. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that this is just covering underneath that pocket, and then I'm going to lay my clear vinyl there. So I'll tape this down, and that's just going to give some body to our tab and give us something pretty to look at. Where's my tape at? And then I got some clear vinyl here. I think this is either 10 or 12 gauge. I really should make sure it's gonna fit, but I'm gonna scooch this over a little bit so there's no sense in wasting. I'll be able to get a D-ring strap connector out of that excess. So I have a pretty large piece of vinyl here because I just winged it. So I'm just going to line it up just above that placement line for the back pocket, and then I'll trim it down because it's just going to be right inside. And then we'll remove the stabilizer from the back. Hopefully I'll be able to get some still pictures out of this. That will be good enough for the PDF. I mean, it's pretty simple, but nobody's done any in the hoop projects before. It might not be simple to them, right? Right. So I'm going to go ahead and take this down. So we have this piece up here and then the clear vinyl. And then we're going to run the next step and then trim around it. And we're going to cut the extra tearaway behind. Sorry. We're going to cut the extra tearaway behind the hoop. Oh, see, this is not working the way I envisioned because now I have this stuck in here. Okay, so good thing that happened and I didn't get too far ahead. So I need to trim that out. So it needs to go above that because we don't want, I'm thinking, so what happens when you try to change a pattern on the fly. We don't want, we need our, sorry, should be doing this when I'm tired. We need to be able to get our remote in there. And now we just created a closure that we're not going to be able to. So we don't want that. All right. Okay, so I need to think this through again. Let's see. Okay, so we're gonna, if we put this here, then our pocket is gonna be behind. So we just need to trim it up to here. And we'll slide our pocket in behind. Okay, I got it. So we just need it to be right above that placement line. What I should have done was ran that placement line first. That's what I should have done. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and trim the extra vinyl. Let me just put this here to hold this in place, just along these edges. I think my little drawer unit over here has kind of broke on me. The drawers are like hanging down. I think I put too much weight in them. So what did I just do with my little trimmers? Oh, I just had them here. Yeah, this is definitely, something's not right there. Okay, let me get these little guys out. Sorry, guys. And I can tell already, I don't know where my, I got, this is a mess of stuff over here. I got some, they're sort of like mini bungee cords, and therefore, actually, I don't know what they're for, but if I can find them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link them through my bedpost so that he cannot lose the Apple remote, because that's the other thing he does, is he loses the Apple remote. Okay, so I'm just going to trim the extra vinyl here, just so we don't want it in the seam allowance. And then I'm going to take the, well, I'm going to do the next step, and then I'll take the cutaway out on the back. Because if I take it out now, I'll loosen that up there, and it'll come undone. So I'm going to leave it in for the next step. The next step is to tack down anyway for the main fabric. In this case, the main vinyl. Okay. So, all right. Don't want to get too close to that, but I don't want any of that in my final seam. Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and add our main vinyl on top. Remove this tape because we don't want to get that buried in there. Now tuck that back under there, Kimberly. There we go. Okay, so go ahead and lay this so that it overlaps all the way around. And I'll have cutting instructions for you. I'm going to trim this piece here because I need to be able to see where it ended at. Let's see. Right there. All right. So if I measured this right, it should have just enough to cover that. I do. Just barely. And I can look it on the back. make sure. It's just, I grabbed the right piece. I hope I didn't cut. Oh, it's gonna be really tight. Should have cut it a little bit wider. I think this piece was the one I was supposed to use. But that's okay, guys. I'll have the right cutting instructions for you in the PDF. All right. So, I'm gonna barely cover that. There goes my machine going off on me. Okay. So I'm going to tape this down good so it doesn't come loose. And then I'm going to run the next step, which is going to be the applique. We're kind of doing a reverse applique here, if you know what that means. So we're going to cut out the inside here, and then we're going to do not a heavy, but just enough of an applique stitch to hold the material against the clear vinyl and give us a nice finish. So first we're going to run the tack down stitch. And then we're going to go ahead and cut out the window of that vinyl inside there. That should really have been a bean stitch. I'll fix that by the time you get it. So I'm going to go ahead and run that one more time. I like a bean stitch because it just gives a little bit more strength when you start getting in there and trimming away material. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and get these duck bills again. And sometimes it's hard to get that start right there. So if you get a seam ripper, you can get in there lightly and don't tear your vinyl. Just feel for it. And you'll feel that you're only going through the top vinyl. And then, see, and then just get a cut in there. And I'm only going through that top vinyl, not going through my clear vinyl. And that just helps me get the scissors in here. So now I can carefully, I'm going to have the duckbill piece going where I don't want to cut the stitches. And I can carefully cut around this. So I'm doing a reverse applique because I'm cutting the piece that's on the inside away instead of the outside. Normally when we do an applique, we're cutting around the outside of the stitches. And it's gliding along the clear vinyl inside. And try and get as close to this line as you can. I messed up right there, so I'm going to have to come back in and try and clean it up. Because this is how your satin stitch is going to depend on that all being gone. And if you don't trim it well, then the satin stitch will slice into the material and fray it on the edges, and it'll just won't look good. So I'm just carefully going in there and trimming that away as close to the stitch line as I can get my scissors without actually cutting into the stitches. And see down here, I didn't do as good of a job, so I'm going to get it back in there and trim it a little bit closer. All right. I'm actually going to wait and tear that tearaway out when we're all done. You can tear it away now and then float another piece underneath there, but I don't think you'll see very much of the tearaway, so I'm just going to leave it in there. Okay, now we're going to do the satin stitching, and that's going to take a minute, and it's just going to satin stitch all around that outline. Not a heavy satin stitch, it's just a lighter one. These stores have a weight limit to them. Or exceeded that new, in here, and I don't. Okay, I can find it. I bought the new magnetic clamps from Cam Stamps. Yeah, I'm sorry, I know this is boring. Okay, I found them. Wait, is this it? Yes. Magnetic stamp rivets. Should have put these in the drawer they belong to in the first place. Okay, so now we can go ahead and this is how quick this is. We're almost done. Now we can go ahead and put our, oh, see, I cut it a little too close right there. You see how that came undone? That's okay. So now we can tear the tearaway out on the back. Just lightly get in here with your scissors or your, this is another case where the seam ripper usually works really well. And just tear that, cut it out. This stuff is really lightweight. That's actually probably why it pulled away from that stitching, because it was too light for that satin stitching. I should have put another piece underneath it. You can see how light that is. It's just, it came with one of my machines and okay, so but now you can see our window and I'm just gonna live with that just for us. I'm going to trim these other threads inside here. Now you're going to take your pocket material, right side facing up, and here's our line that we stitched out on the first step, and we're going to line our pocket up right with that line. And we're going to tape it down really well. And we'll tear out this piece here when we're all done. I don't want to destabilize the hoop at all. Put just enough tape to hold this in place on the back, because if it comes loose, then all your hard work is for naught. So the first thing it's going to do is run the placement stitch for my stamp tab, and then it's going to run the pocket attachment in the final bean. Okay, now we're going to run the final bean stitch. Stop your machine and trim that jump thread off so it doesn't get hung up in your final stitching as well. Sometimes my machine should have cut that and it didn't. Sometimes your machine doesn't do what it's supposed to do. So this is a reinforcement stitch because you're going to be pulling on that pocket, and if we just did one final bean around, then when you go to pull on that pocket, it could potentially tear apart. So I like to put this reinforcement stitch in here. And once it's done up here, I'm going to stop the machine and take this tape off because it's in the way. Okay, so I'm going to stop it right now, and I'm going to go ahead and lightly pull this tape away because I don't want that to get buried into my stitches. It comes out pretty good, but just to be safe. we don't need to worry about having a stopping point because we don't have any hardware on here. So before you take it out of the hoop, make sure the back stitched down neatly and that you don't have any mistakes there that you might have to redo the step. Save whatever tape you can. Some of these pieces of tape are still usable. So I have tape all over my machine, and then once in a while, every month, I go ahead and clean it off. And then go ahead and do the same on the front. Pull out whatever tape you don't need anymore. Just pulling the tape off. And then we can go ahead and remove the hoop, and like a snap tab, you're going to trim this down to about 1/8 of an inch away from the final bean stitch. And this tearaway should come off really easily because it's really cheap tearaway, and I should not have used it. Now I'm going to go ahead and trim this around, and I actually I like these scissors better. These Kai scissors are my favorite. The bottom is already pretty much 1/8 of an inch because I got so close to it, so I don't need to worry about that. So I'm just going as close as I can get without cutting into the stitches. 1/8 of an inch is a good one to shoot for. And what you do is, if you want to just don't move the scissors, let the scissors roll the vinyl into the scissors. And it's a skill to do this, especially on a curve. It takes a lot of practice, and I'm not always the best about it. And sometimes I do this zigzag. But when you do it like this, I'll show you, since this is ours, you can get jagged lines when you try and keep opening the scissors. I'm gonna cut that off and get it out of our way. So when you go like this, you see how those lines get like that? So you don't want to do that. So you want to kind of glide your material into the blades of the scissors. And then when you have reached the end of your scissors, open it, come forward to the next step, and again, glide your material into it. Now on these straight ones, it's harder to do. But when you're doing the curves, you'll see how easy it is. And you just glide the curve right into the scissors. And here we go again. I'm going to get up to this curve, and I'm going to glide right into the scissors. I'm going to trim it a little bit closer. I didn't get quite as close as I would like. There we go. Now, get rid of this trash. There's not much salvageable there. Another thing that you can do, maybe I can show you. A lot of times people don't like to see all these knot-in stuff. Oh, let's take the stabilizer out on this here. I've seen her throw. Pull the stabilizer out here. You see how easy that came out? This just wasn't strong enough for my satin stitches. So make sure you use a medium tearaway. Not this paper thin stuff. I don't know what the heck I was thinking. I really like the stuff from Thread Art. It's perfect for the 5x7 hoops. If you go to my main Starfish, the business page, there's a link to all my favorite things on Amazon. But one of the things that people complain about a lot of their starts and stops of the vinyl. So you can trim it down as much as you want, but if it really bothers you, you just take a lighter and you just lightly do that, because this is polyester and it'll just melt it. Don't do the vinyl too much, but it'll melt it and you don't have to worry about it. So now we have our pocket all ready. So now we're going to go ahead and move the hoop out of the way and we're gonna get our snaps ready. I'm using the magnetic snaps from Cam Snap. These are brand new. They're rivets. They're pretty cool. If you saw my video for just did a new video for the Susie's, here it is. I used it on the Susie. I did a hack for the Snappy Susie pocket, and I used it on here. Okay, so we need one stud. And we need 2 of these rivet caps. And then we need 1 female. And there are little pieces of plastic in between the female because they all want to stick together. You can see that. It all wants to stick together. So I have a stud and a female. Okay, and it has special dies, and there's 1 top die and 2 bottom dies. 1 top die for the actually, I don't even know if this is going to fit. This is actually going to be an interesting endeavor. This pocket is really little. I'm going to try and get the Pro pliers out because I don't think the mini press will work. Because I need to be able to get the die in there and that little pocket on the back. Well, this may not work. We're going to try it. We'll try that first. So I like to have this be the receiving end. So I haven't yet figured out how to mark with the magnetic snaps on the vinyl. So what I do is I use a regular snap, if I can find one, to mark an indent in the vinyl so I know where to put my receiving one. And of course I can't find one. That's okay, we'll just use our seam ripper. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my hole punch and punch the hole that I have the placement for right here. All right, and then I'm gonna use my seam ripper. So I want enough room to hang my lobster clasp on. So I'm going to use my seam ripper and go through that hole and put a little indent in my pocket so I know where to put that's enough room for my hardware. So I'm going to put a little indent there with this, and I can see it right there. It's hard for you to see probably, but I can see it. But I don't want to go through my front, but it's enough that I can see to make my hole. And then I'm going to go ahead and punch the hole for that. Okay. Oh, this is going to be the tricky part. Okay, so we want this piece there. So we need to push this through that hole that we just punched. And then we're going to get our cap in there and snap it in. I hope, ooh, might have an issue. That might be, oh no, the remote's going to be right here. Okay, so now we have to somehow get that in here. So you'll see that these have a recessed or a protruding center, so it goes with each cap. So this one's going to have to go in here. So the easiest way to do it is put this inside the plier. And I already did it on this one, so you can hear it snapped into place. And it's snapped into place here, so it's all ready to go. So then I need to slide this in and get it in there as best as I can. And like I said, I don't know if this is going to work because this is got to have enough room to get in there. We're going to find out in a second. You might need to use a regular snap. So once it's in there, try and get it inside the little hole there and get it seated. Push it in. gonna have to try and do it the hard way. Okay, so I'm gonna pull that off. Push this inside there. Okay, now we're gonna try and get this inside here. Oh, I think I can do it. Yeah, I can do it. Okay, now we're gonna just push down on the cap and tighten it. Yeah, I got it. And then depress it. And then you have to pull a little bit because that's a magnet, remember? Okay, so now we have the bottom one in there. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing for the top one, but with the other. So we need this up here. And we need this cap on top. And then we need this magnet, or this die bottom. You do have to have the professional, or this needs to go this way up. The professional handheld, or the mini table press, or the regular table press with an adapter to use these. There we go. And I did have a lobster clasp sitting out here earlier. What did I do with it? So we're going to fold this to get it, squeeze it into our lobster clasp. I'm going to move this out of the way for right now. And then we'll see if it works better, if we get a little bit better window for our remote. I probably just turned the TV on. Oh yes, that's much better. Now we have all that room. We can still navigate all the buttons. Snap it closed. We got a little hanger on it. And we'll hook a chain to this, and so I can hang it on my bed, and we always have it. And there's plenty of room here to move and navigate it. So, hope you like it. And if you like my videos and my designs, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and you can even click the little bell so you get notifications when I have a new file ready, or I just did a new video. And see right there's a little extra fuzzy, so I'm gonna get the lighter, choop, and it's all melted away. I didn't melt my vinyl. Thanks everybody.